Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're a medical or dental school applicant, honestly, just hearing the acronym UCAT is probably enough to induce some clinical tachycardia, right? But here's the thing. It's usually not the actual content that causes the panic. It's the clock. You see, the UCAT timer isn't just there to count down minutes. It is actively testing your ability to stay cool and make rapid-fire decisions under immense, almost uncomfortable pressure. So today, we're going to change your entire mindset about this exam. Our mission in this explainer is to conquer that anxiety completely by showing you exactly how to prioritize pace over perfection. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's take a super quick look at our roadmap. We are breaking the UCAT down into 5 completely fluff-free sections. The UCAT timing trap, the 3-pass method, skimming versus scanning, mastering the digital tools, and finally, charting out your practice timeline.
All right, let's jump straight into section 1, the UCAT timing trap.
We really have to start by acknowledging a brutal reality. The UCAT is explicitly designed to make you feel rushed. It's a set of separately timed subtests, all multiple choice, totally packed into just under 2 hours. You are supposed to feel the heat here. Just look at the raw math. 30. That is the number of seconds you have, on average, for every single question in the verbal reasoning section. I mean, you have 22 minutes to answer 44 questions. It's a relentless pace. Honestly, if you pause to admire a beautifully written sentence, you're already falling behind.
And you know what? The pressure actually mounts from there. 23, that is the terrifyingly brief number of seconds you get per question in the situational judgment test. That's 69 questions in just 26 minutes. Now, I'm not throwing these numbers out to scare you. They're here to prove a point. You absolutely cannot afford to battle a single hard question for too long. There just isn't time.
The test designers, yeah, they know exactly what they're doing. This intense time pressure creates a totally normal human reaction known as the speed-accuracy trade-off. Basically, when we try to rush, our accuracy naturally takes a nosedive. The UCAT is actively exploiting this psychological effect. But, and here is the secret, you don't beat the UCAT by doing every single question perfectly. Perfection is literally a trap. You win by staying in control of your pace and snagging the marks that are easily available to you. Which brings us to the crucial takeaway, an absolute golden rule. 0 negative marking. This test is scored purely by the number of correct answers you get. There are absolutely 0 penalties for getting something wrong. Because of this, leaving a question blank is a strategic disaster. It is always worse than just making an educated guess and moving on.
Moving right along to section 2, the 3-pass method.
If you treat every question on this exam like it deserves the exact same amount of time, that is the fastest way to fail the UCAT. You need a system to navigate the test without getting bogged down on the impossible stuff. So here's how you tackle any section using the 3-pass method. First, you bank the easy marks. You go through and nail the questions you can solve confidently and quickly without heavy working. Keep that conveyor belt moving. Second, you invest carefully. Use the test's flagging system to mark questions that look totally doable but might need a little more thought, and then return to them on your second pass. Third, you switch into rescue mode. When time is nearly up, you simply go in and guess the remaining flagged questions. Now, to actually make this work in the heat of the moment, you need a personal trigger. Let's call it the 5-10-second rule. If you read a question and you don't know what to do within 5 to 10 seconds, or maybe you realize you're starting a massive, messy multi-step calculation with no end in sight, you flag it, you guess an answer, and you move on immediately. Because listen, getting stubborn about one difficult problem can easily cost you 3 to 5 ridiculously easy marks later in the test, just because you ran out of time. Not worth it. Okay, let's look at section 3, skimming versus scanning. Let's pivot over to verbal reasoning for a second. This is where candidates bleed the most time, almost always because they try to read the passages like they're studying a university textbook. You can't do that. Instead, you must master 2 entirely different skills. Skimming is about rapidly extracting the overall structure and main idea of a passage in just 20 to 30 seconds without reading every single word. Scanning, on the other hand, is basically a visual hunt. It's training your eyes to jump around the text looking for a highly specific anchor keyword so you can locate evidence for a statement. So let's break down exactly what a real skimming protocol looks like. This is a very deliberate 20 to 30-second pass. First, you read the very first sentence of the passage fully to grab the topic. Then, read only the first sentence of each subsequent paragraph. These are your topic sentences.
After that, take a super quick mental note of the final sentence, because conclusions are tested all the time. Now, notice what's missing there. You skip the middle of the paragraphs entirely on your first pass. The goal isn't to read a story, it's just to build a mental map so you know exactly where a specific idea lives when you need to find it later. And this brings us to a truth that feels, well, completely counterintuitive. Comprehension depth actively hurts your score. Verbal reasoning is not a reading comprehension test, guys. It is a timed inference and logic test. Trying to understand the deep, profound nuances of a passage just eats away your precious time budget. Your only goal is to locate evidence quickly, not to absorb a narrative.
All right, moving to section 4, mastering the digital tools.
You might not realize this, but the UCAT interface itself has built-in tools that, if you master them, will literally shave crucial seconds off every single subtest. And those small digital efficiencies, they add up immensely. First, keep an eye on the countdown timer. When less than 5 minutes remain, that timer turns yellow. Use that visual cue. It means stop investing time in hard questions and start banking and guessing. Next up, keyboard shortcuts. Simply using Alt+N for next saves you from constantly reaching for and fumbling with the mouse. Third, train your mental maths for common things like 10% or a quarter. Overusing the on-screen calculator is incredibly slow and clunky. You have to avoid calculator addiction. And finally, utilize that flag for review function aggressively to manage your time sinks.
Now, here is a tiny but absolutely critical detail you need to know about the interface. When time expires on a section, a pop-up prompt is going to appear asking you to continue. You must click OK immediately. If you just sit there and wait, maybe catching your breath, you will literally be bleeding time away from your next section. It's a completely unforced error, a free timing trap that so many candidates fall right into. Don't be one of them.
And finally, section 5, your practice timeline. So we've talked about a lot of intense, fast-paced digital skills today. But how do you actually train these without totally burning out before test day even arrives? Well, the UCAT A&Z preparation plan offers this brilliant 6-week roadmap that shows exactly how to scale your efforts. Starting from about 6 weeks out, you aren't doing full exhausting mocks. No, you're exploring the tutorials, you're familiarizing yourself with the digital tools we just talked about, and you're doing really short bursts of practice. In fact, high-scoring candidates typically spend about 25 to 30 hours preparing overall, just building it up by doing an hour or so each day.
The secret here is to build your timing in layers. Layer 1 is all about untimed accuracy, doing short bursts, focusing purely on getting your method right. Think about it. If you practice sloppily, you just become really fast at being wrong. So get it right first. Layer 2 is the absolute sweet spot, timed mini-sets. Think 5 to 8 questions timed tightly against the clock. And then finally, Layer 3 introduces those full, grueling timed mock tests, but you purposely save these for nearer to your test day just to build up your stamina.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final, slightly provocative thought to chew on. Ask yourself, are you practicing to be perfect, or are you practicing to be fast? Remember, mastering the UCAT is absolutely not about being the smartest person in the room. It's about smart, calculated decision-making under relentless pressure. Control your pace, build your mental maps, and for the love of everything, let go of perfection. You've got the tools now. Go conquer your prep.